Today, we've got the nerve, the audacity, the unmitigated gall to try and list all the ninjas who have a problem with Beyonce's new album. Milkshaking ass Kelis, Lewinsky throated Monica, and people who occasionally spaz. Don't worry, Will Smith and Deshaun Watson ain't getting off the hook today either. All that on this episode of the Unmitigated Gall Podcast.
So what's this podcast about?
Somebody gotta keep it real, you know.
Reclaiming my time
by winning.
Keep my wife's name.
Catch me outside, how about that?
You're talking to
Unabashed hater.
my style is impetuous.
King Kong ain't got.
You come in with some nice waves in a black suit.
You're average looking at best.
I took offense to that.
Robert.
You ain't got the answer, Sway.
I have you beat.
You now have the Unmitigated Gall.
Thank you for joining the Unmitigated Gall, the podcast for grown-ass pop culture lovers who are trying to juggle way too much, including me, including bedtime, including PTO, just way too grown to be doing this shit. I'm one half of this hosting duo, Eric Golson, the one in the background who's got roller coasters zooming over her head, the PTO queen herself, taking the plastic off the sofa at NABJ. Hey, Chevalerie.
What's up, Eric?
You
miss me?
I did. I mean, I want to miss you more, but it's just way too much going on. You got good stuff going on. I got renovations going on, kids going back to school, kicking my ass.
So for anyone wondering, I am in Las Vegas, recording this live from Las Vegas for two reasons, two reunions, so to speak. So the first, my family reunion. I convinced my family that we should do our reunion in Vegas because how many times can you go to Texas and Alabama? Like, we've been there enough.
Right.
And it just happened to coincide with, or I planned it because I'm also here for NABJ, which starts tomorrow, National Association of Black Journalists. So yeah, I'm actually kicking it poolside. I'd turn it around, but I don't know if that'll work.
So before we talk about what we're talking about today, oh yes, I was about to say, show me more. What hotel is that? You said the MGM?
Yeah. No. I'm at New York.
New York. You saw Usher, right?
I did. Actually, at the hotel, I can see it right here at the Park MGM. I'm at New York right now. I'll be going to Caesars tomorrow. That's the host hotel for NABJ. And yeah, it's Vegas. I'm having an amazing time. They say it's humid here. It's not humid here, not compared to Atlanta. I'm outside. I've been outside for about an hour. It feels amazing. And as soon as we're done, I'll be hopping in that pool. Although I'm a little nervous. There are a lot of kids, and that could mean some other things are in there. But I'll shower after.
Oh, you gotta let that go. Build up your immune system. You gotta prepare your body for the monkeypox outbreak. So a little fecal matter ain't gonna hurt you. So all that is good. So today we're talking about Beyonce's album and all the various people who got problems with it. We're talking about Deshaun Watson and all the various massages he's been getting. We're talking about Will Smith speaking on camera, apologizing like a simp. And of course, we have another great interview coming up with one of my longtime friends, frat brother, now documentarian and very successful podcaster, Dynast Amir. So amid all this, chaos, we still got a great show planned for you. Now, before we jump into it, don't forget, subscribe to the pages, subscribe Spotify, YouTube. Even if you don't get a chance to dive into each episode, you'll be notified when it comes out. And Chevalerie, just real quick, speaking of which, I just want to shout out some of the people who are supporting us. Like I said, my friends, my Lion brothers, Vontae, Sean, TJ, Russell, EB, my brother-in-law, Poppy's been sharing it. And of course, my wife, she's been sharing it too, and her sisters. So it's a lot of sisters. I ain't gonna name all them. But just thanks to everybody who's subscribed. Please continue to listen and tell people about it.
Yep, and make sure you follow because we're on Instagram and Twitter as well. And we get a lot of support on Twitter from one of our contributors, Josh Schiffer.
That's
he does a
right.
great job of reposting us every day. So big shout out to Josh and also Jack Rice. They're both really big, big supporters. Definitely appreciate that.
Well, once that roller coaster goes overhead, why don't you jump into the good times in the world of Beyonce?
Right. So, I mean, what should have been, an amazing time for her to celebrate the release of her latest album, Renaissance, has been met with a little bit of a couple of hiccups along the way. First, it was leaked. It was leaked 2 days before it was supposed to come out. But the Beehive is extremely loyal, and most of them did not listen to the album. I think
they
shared
didn't.
Someone actually. No.
Do you believe that?
I do believe that. Someone sent it to me, and I did.
And you abstained.
I did.
Good for you. Good for you for abstaining in Vegas.
And I don't know if you saw, in Sin City. And I don't know if you saw, but she actually put something out on Instagram thanking her fans for not listening to the leak prior to it coming out. But that was just the first of many hiccups. After that, she got called out because her song Heated had a lot of fans heated. Myself included a little bit, just because in that song she uses the word spaz. And we've since learned from her, but also even previously, Lizzo, that word is a derogatory term for people who are disabled. And but she did the right thing, and she's going to take the word out of the song. But I sort of feel like maybe with what happened with Lizzo, and I'm not sure if it's her or if it's Drake, because Drake is the one who wrote the song. Maybe they didn't hear about the controversy with Lizzo and that word, but they probably, should have and should have taken it out. But she's doing the right thing. She's taken that word out of that song, Heated. So that was the second thing that happened. And then the third thing that happened, which basically is what we want to talk about today, is this beef between her and Kelis. On the song Energy, I have to look at this word because it's a word I never heard before. Interpolate? I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. Interpolation is how you say it the other way. So basically Beyonce sampled, or she didn't sample, she used part of the song from Kelis' song Milkshake. She didn't sample the whole song, she just used a portion of it, and I guess
can't even
Kelis
tell.
Is upset.
You can't even tell. It's ridiculous.
I would have had no idea when I listened to the song, but basically Kelis put out a video. She's saying that Beyonce copied her before, and that basically she should have called her, and that it's common decency to call someone and let them know that you're going to use this song. But I'm wondering if her anger is misplaced, because I think maybe Beyonce reached out to the people who actually wrote and likely owned the song, and that's
the real decision makers who produced it.
Exactly. So she went on a little bit of a rant saying that publishing was stolen and that she was swindled out of her rights and that she hasn't made any money in the 3 deals that she had with the Neptunes. But you should take that up with them. You shouldn't take that up with Beyonce.
I mean, shout out to Kelis for still having a nice, lovely head of hair, but that's about it. I mean, other than that, you have no beef. I mean, Beyonce don't owe you nothing, and I'm not a Beehive person, but as Chivalry will tell you, I'm not a huge fan of Beyonce, but I must say I'm rather enjoying this album quite a bit. But back to Kelis, we can't. First of all, we can't understand that is your song. Second of all, it's not your song. Third of all, I'm pretty sure you wasn't in the studio making beats with Pharrell and Chad. And fourth, you had your chance to get your money. You did what you could do, and move on. I mean, trying to get hype in this way. That's what a lot of people are saying. Move on.
She admits that she signed a contract with them, didn't read the contract, which is what happens to a lot of people when they first get into the industry. They're just trying to get on some record label, and I guess she ended up signing something. She was told that it would be split 33, and 33, and she ended up making no money. But basically what I've learned is that there are two types of copyrights. There's the musical composition, which is the actual notes on paper, which is likely, or not likely, which is what Pharrell and Chad put together. And then there is the actual sound recording, an actual recording of a particular performance of a song. And basically Beyonce she used the musical composition and got the clearance from Pharrell and Chad Hugo, but didn't use the actual recording, so she does not have to give any acknowledgement. Actually, I take that back. She did acknowledge her on the credits. She's likely since probably taken that off. Right. But she doesn't have to get any kind of acknowledgement or permission from Kelis because she didn't actually use the actual sound from the recording.
All right. So beyond all the legalese, what is your take on this? I'm pretty sure you don't give a fuck about Kelis's opinion, but I would just like to hear you say it.
No, well, I think it maybe would have been okay for her to call her, but we are talking about Beyonce. She doesn't have to. I think Kelis should have done what Robin S. did. And I'm not sure if you know this, but Beyonce sampled Robin S.'s Show Me Love for Break My Soul. And when she found out about it, from her son. She got a call from her son who said, "You're trending all over the place." She says that Beyonce did not contact her, and she did this all on Good Morning Britain. But she realizes, like, Beyonce sampled your song. That could likely mean more money or more streams or something for you. I immediately, when I realized, they're saying that she sampled or interpolated Show Me Love, I realized I didn't have that on my Apple Music, so I immediately downloaded it. And Kelis likely, maybe everybody already has a milkshake on their streaming platform, but this likely could have been a paycheck for her. And now she's since blown it because today we learned that Beyonce has taken everything. She just removed all of it.
Yeah, but
off of the album.
Yeah, but if we believe what she says, then she wouldn't have got that money anyway because the Neptunes own it. So basically, she's crying out for attention and affection. So, I hate to say it.
I know, but I looked into it, and a lot of legal experts say there's literally nothing she can do at this point. You're talking about a song that I believe came out in 2003, so we're talking almost 20 years ago, and she signed the contract. They own the rights to the song, so she should have just maybe been a little bit grateful. I don't know, that maybe it would have been an opportunity for her to say, "Oh, you like Milkshake? Here's this new song I just put out." She
exactly
capitalized on it.
Boo-hoo, so sad. Yeah, she's playing the game all wrong. Everyone knows the music business is a dirty game. People will steal if given the chance. She's just not playing the game right, like crying out for people to do right by her, and that's just not going to work. So move on. Speaking of people who are crying out to do right, Monica Lewinsky is jumping on the bandwagon, and she's saying, all right, since Beyonce is apologizing for her use of spaz and taking that out, what about taking out her reference to Lewinsky in an old song? She's really riding hype because if you know Lewinsky and you know R&B and hip-hop, there's a lot of Lewinsky references.
Right.
So,
well, she's talking about the 2013 song Partition, and it's that part of the song when she says, "The Monica Lewinsky doll on my get." It's a great, it's a great song, but like, why are you trying to get her to change the lyrics 9 years later? Like,
I think it's just hype. I think both her and Kelis, they're just using, anything for clout, as the Migos once said. It's just all for clout at this point. Now, we can't use the whole show on Beyonce. I know you would love to.
No, I know.
But let's hit. We got the Kelis, we got Lewinsky, we got. Maybe I feel like we should talk a little bit more about the spaz thing and why it was important for her to take it out. It seemed like you felt like an emotional connection to that part.
Well, I mean, as you know, and if people are watching, if they don't know, my sister was diagnosed with MS, and she is disabled, and the word spaz doesn't technically apply to her. It applies to a separate condition, but my sister does have times where her legs sort of twitch and do things on their own. But for me, like I said, I think maybe she should have been a little bit aware of the word, since only because it was just a month or two ago where the exact same word was used in a Lizzo lyric, and she changed it. And so I'm just not understanding how they didn't hear that.
Right.
I do appreciate that they're doing the right thing, and they realize that sort of being an ableist, which is people who are not disabled. If you don't know,
I just learned that today, by the way.
Ableist.
Well, this week when I first read the story.
Yeah. So I appreciate that she is even taking into consideration, changing the lyrics because it is a disrespectful word to the disabled community. So yeah, I'm glad that her and Lizzo both realized. Basically, it's like if you don't know better, then I think maybe the disabled community needs to do a better job of educating people about words that they shouldn't use, and then we won't have these issues. Because prior to the incident happening with Lizzo, did you know that you're not supposed to use spaz?
I didn't know about the Lizzo issue at all.
Use anyway. Oh, you didn't know about Lizzo?
No, I didn't. So I think I'm looking at it on the bright side. So, because of someone like Beyonce being a household name, putting out a monumental album, now that we know better, we can do better, including Beyonce. Yeah. So, shout out to the people that are educating us. I like that you mentioned your sister, Siobhan. I know her. She's a great woman. Got love for her. My aunt is also dealing with MS, but I certainly am not dealing with it on a daily basis like you and Siobhan. But yeah, so we're just learning, and my son, one of my sons is disabled, so hearing uses of the word retarded. So I just think absolutely. Just learning more. I'm not expecting people to just be sensitive out the gates, but I do feel like once you are educated, now I'm looking at you closer. Now that you know better, will you do better? So that's where I'm at on it. I feel like intent is important, and I'm just not saying that Beyonce had the intent to just offend thousands of people.
Correct. I just hope that after the leak, and then the word spaz, and then Kelis, and now Monica Lewinsky, can we just enjoy the album? Because it's amazing.
This is so crazy. I've turned from a Beyonce hater to a Beyonce apologist. I'm like taking her side on everything.
I'm here for it.
I gotta admit.
Are you in the Beehive? Are you in the Beehive?
No. The Beehive is ridiculous. But the album Renaissance slaps. I'm like right into it with my son, and wow. Let me just look. Church Girl does slap. But I don't think that was made for me. Yeah, that's for black women and gay men. But I do like Break My Soul, and I do like Alien Superstar. So I really like almost all the songs I've heard. Plastic Off the Sofa. I've got like 5 more songs to go, but I pretty much like all the songs I've heard, which I was not expecting. So I'm calling it a classic.
Maybe expected it because there's actually 2 Atlanta songwriters that she used for I think 5 of the songs.
Oh, I'm sure she used a lot of songwriters.
Oh yeah, she does. But yeah, it's got an Atlanta connection, which I love. So.
Oh, last thing, since you mentioned songwriters, some well-known songwriter, some white lady, I gotta find her name. She is trending.
Some white lady.
Well, she's she's an old school songwriter, and she also posed the question: 24 writers on a song? And of course, the Beehive came after her, and then I guess she got tired of the heat, so she was like, "Oh yeah, I guess samples do count." But we all know that Beyonce is the CEO of a corporation. She is, being lifted up by a large staff. So to me, I look at her as the visionary. She's the visionary. She's the one that cracks the whip. She says we are marching this direction. Do I think that she's writing all these songs? No. Do I feel like she's a tastemaker? Yes, I like this. I don't like that. I feel like, and you have to have good taste to have the body of work that she does. So that's kind of where I give her the credit, being like one of the hardest workers in entertainment, because you got to be a ridiculously hard working, motivated person to do what she's done, and just being able to surround herself with the right people. But no, she's not like writer of the year. and it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm sure she won't be getting Rider of the Year, but she'll be picking up a couple more trophies for this one.
Oh yeah, Adele will hand over her next trophy to her too.
Oh God, forgot about that. How could I forget about that?
How could you forget? Let's hit your boy Deshaun Watson. Maybe I shouldn't say hit. Let's touch on your boy Deshaun Watson.
Not my boy.
I take it you're not pleased with the NFL's ruling of 6 game suspension. Well, it wasn't an NFL ruling because the NFL has the chance to appeal, which they Goodell probably will give him more games than what the judge recommended. Mm-hmm. And really, that was part of her ruling. A writer had a good take that she probably offered up the 6 games to basically put out there that the NFL doesn't really have a firm policy on this and that they're making up as they go. So she kind of just put out the 6 games like, all right, then 6 games. Is that what you want? Right. Expecting Goodell to be like, no, we're going to give him a lot more.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, or maybe you don't watch football or follow the story, Deshaun Watson was suspended for 6 games when the NFL season starts after federal judge Sue L. Robinson found that he was guilty of violating the league's personal conduct policy, and he violated it in 3 ways: engaging in sexual assault, engaging in conduct that poses a genuine danger and to safety and well-being of another person, and engaging in conduct that undermines or puts at risk the integrity of the NFL. And the last part of that statement is what I have issue with, is the integrity of the NFL, because they have been notorious for not making the right decisions when it comes to some of their players, and that's actually what she cites as the reason why she only gave Deshaun Watson 6 games, is because their previous disciplinary actions with players, it's been pretty much lax. And one of the ones that she cites is the big one that we all remember was Ray Rice. Goodell initially, after hearing that Ray Rice beat his wife, gave him a 2-game suspension. And only after this goes to the whole conversation of believe black women. Only after the video was released did he go, oh, okay, maybe I should give him a couple more games, 6 games, and then he got an indefinite suspension, and then his career just pretty much ended.
Yeah.
Not pretty much ended, it ended.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't take a videotape for you to make some type of action once someone says to you, this person is beating me. Like there are countless incidents of the NFL not reacting the way they should until everyone gets in an uproar, and then suddenly they're like, oh, okay, well let's do this. And so now you want to get on this holier than thou, like, oh, we want to suspend him for a year, but you're only doing that because of the public outcry, not because I think you actually as a league believe that Deshaun Watson should be held accountable. But here's the thing: do you think he should be held accountable or suspended at all? Because while he has settled the lawsuits against he settled 23 of the 24 civil lawsuits, he hasn't been indicted. And 2 separate Texas grand juries found that there was no evidence to indict him on any of these charges, at least from some of the cases. So a lot of people are saying, should he be disciplined at all?
You're asking me if I think he should be disciplined?
Yeah.
I think he should, from the standpoint that the NFL has set a precedent with some of these previous cases, right? But do I just think outside of that, like in the vacuum, should let's disregard Ray Rice and Calvin Ridley's gambling and all of that? Should he be disciplined by the NFL? I personally don't think so. I feel like if it's been settled and handled in a legal in a courtroom already, arbitrated by lawyers already, I feel like it has been handled, so let's move on.
Oh, you don't think he should even get the 6 games?
I feel like the women who are accusing him, I feel I forget the number, maybe 22 of 24 or something similar to that, have already settled.
I think it's 23 of 24 have settled.
Yeah, and then the team also paid them. So, yeah, I think they should get their money, and especially if they have the evidence that backs up their claims. But then if a grand jury did didn't feel like there was enough to go to trial, I feel like evidence matters.
Not one, but two.
Right.
Separate grand juries.
Exactly. I feel like evidence matters, and I don't want my sports leagues playing cop. I don't want my sports leagues playing judge and jury. Like if they are found guilty of these things and then you then decide to fine and terminate them, I mean, that's understood. But if they are innocent in a court of law and their cases have been settled, it's settled. So that's how I feel. I'm not saying he didn't do anything wrong because I don't know what happened. I read some of the descriptions. Sounds graphic, but I don't know the context of those meetings. I don't know what the women knew coming into it. I don't know what happened once the towel came off. So what I have to go on is basically what I do know, and I do know that 2 grand juries passed on it, and I know that the case has been settled. So other than that, I'm ready for some football.
Oh my God. I'm ready for football. Okay, I'm gonna tell you what my mom will always say in a situation like this. She said it for Cosby, and she would likely say it for Deshaun. All these people ain't lying on you. It's too many people. It's too many people telling the same story. And
I don't think he's innocent. They got paid though.
Yeah, but does that mean that he shouldn't face some type of action just because he settled with them?
He's paying. That's the action.
No.
I mean, you want him to go to jail? What's the discipline?
Not go to jail. I mean, I think the discipline is what this judge is saying is that there has to be some type of repercussion. If she is saying, and they basically asked her to look at this, this is what we always want to handle. Like, we always get upset when police departments sort of handle their own investigations. Mm-hmm. So they went outside of the league, got an arbitrator separate from the league to look at this. She said she found that he was guilty of violating the league's conduct policy, and that her recommendation is 6 games. So why shouldn't he at minimum, do 6 games?
Well, so the idea is that,
and even the league doesn't want just 6 games. They want him suspended for the whole entire year.
But you don't feel that that's genuine because you feel like it's only because of the public outcry. The league doesn't actually. Roger Goodell is not sitting at home like, oh, that Deshaun Watson shameful individual. But all right, so if he's suspended, that equals money out his pocket, right? So that's the discipline. You're saying a financial penalty, suspending games, is discipline. He already has incurred a financial penalty, settling all these, But not from the league. He settled those lawsuits on his own. Right, and my position is I don't feel that the league should be involved in matters of the law.
Right, but they have a policy in place that they say, or this woman has ruled, she's a retired federal judge.
Right.
She has ruled that he violated. So if he has violated a league rule, there has to be a disciplinary action, and that is separate from what you decide to pay these women in civil lawsuits.
Right, and
so what
exactly.
is the disciplinary action for him violating the league's rule? There isn't one.
No,
the 6 games.
So remember when I first started, I said, okay, if we're talking about within the context of NFL precedent, then yes, I agree with that. I said outside of that, what I think should happen, without that precedent, should the NFL even be interfering in these things? No. So as things are now, do I think that, he should get these 6 games? Yes. But in an ideal world, I don't want the legal world and professional sports overlapping.
But wait, you don't want them overlapping?
I don't.
But
so if you
they have a policy in place, so he hasn't. unless the league, basically the NFL is damned if they do, damned if they don't. If they just allow him to get the 6 games, people are going to be pissed off because they don't think that that's enough. If they go against the ruling and now it goes to arbitration, the NFL Players Association is going to sue the league. It's just going to be, like you said, you're ready for some football, you're not going to get any football because they're going to continue to be talking about this. If the league, like, they're screwed, they're damned if they do, they're damned if they don't. But there has to be some action for violating that rule, and it's separate from whatever you pay these women in these lawsuits.
Okay, and I accept that. Like I said, given the precedent set by the NFL already. But if you're asking me, in an ideal world, would I even have these two worlds overlapping? That's what I'm saying. So yes, I recognize that the NFL is now in a position to where they have to do something to him. I understand that reality. I accept it. I'm fine with it. Great, suspend them. What I'm saying ideally is I would not have that baseball player last year who was suspended for having violent sex with a woman. I forget his name, but he allegedly choked her. He was just basically having BDSM without her consent. So baseball, after a few weeks, if not months, they stayed out of it, but then they felt like they had to suspend him. Then I think he got the legal case was thrown out, and baseball had to let him back in. So they probably should have stayed out of it in the first place. I'm not saying that he did not harm this woman. I'm just saying that they're not equipped to handle that. Stay in your lane.
Yeah, but you have to be able to handle these things. You said you don't want these things to intersect with each other, but when your players are doing things that are basically illegal, you have to have there has to be some type of action. There has to be some type of discipline when your player is doing something that goes against your own policy. This is a policy your league created. There has to be a repercussion.
No, I agree with that.
I know.
I agree with that.
But you're saying you don't want what are you saying exactly? You don't want what to be involved?
I'm saying that employers should not get involved in legal matters. I think if you're arrested, it should be allowed to play out in the court of law, in arbitration, and your employer should stay out of it. And I believe that also
But I think in this situation, it's like he wasn't indicted, but then you've got this arbitrator who's saying he's guilty of violating the policy. So in that instance, what should the league do? He wasn't indicted, but you got a third party, so to speak, to come in, and she's like, all right, well, he violated your policy, and I'm recommending 6 games. Now It's up to you, the league, to make a decision.
Right. Yeah, at this point, you should follow what the arbitrator said, since you brought in that arbitrator. Now, we know that that's not going to happen because it's all a PR thing. So Goodell is going to give him more than 6 games. We know this. So you're asking me, am I comfortable with what is happening? Yes, as far as the arbitrator and as far as 6 games. And then, but you're also asking me what should happening. But your response to me is what you think. It's kind of conflating the two. So I'm giving you two different stances based on 2 different situations. The reality of where we are, and you're asking me my opinion about what should be happening. So I just don't want to conflate the two.
All right. I think I don't know if you know this, just another little tidbit, but I know that I was about to say you are a big Atlanta Falcons fan. You were an Atlanta Falcons
forget
fan.
Those fools.
Okay. Did you know that he was his mother is one of the women who received one of the homes from Warwick Dunn?
I think I did know that, yep.
When he was I don't know. I just, it's...
Does that change your opinion at all?
It doesn't, because when you see someone like a Warwick Dunn, and granted, we don't know what goes on in his household or whatever.
Exactly,
but
you don't.
See someone like a Warwick Dunn who has so much integrity and does so much for the community, and you see that he was the recipient of that, and grew up, you know, in a home that was provided for him and his family and his mother. You sort of, I think, expect certain things, and you know, to sort of see him sort of go down this, I don't understand this.
Who is the you and you expect? You expect, not me. I think humans are being
expectations.
I don't. We don't know what Ward Dunn does, so we have to take him at, you know, we have to appreciate him for what he's done on the football field. We have to appreciate for his philanthropic efforts, which I do, but I do not pretend to say that what he's done in those two realms has anything to do with what he does behind closed doors. And I don't think that we should vilify Deshaun Watson for using his power and influence to take advantage of women, which, you know, it's easy. No, what I'm saying is, as a powerful person, if he's getting away with this, it's like the kid who steals candy from the candy store. He steals a peppermint. He gets away with it. Then he steals a stick of gum, you know, and then so he definitely needed to be checked, and he has been checked. But what I'm saying is, now am I going to be looking at him sideways when he donates 1,000 book bags to kids? No, I'm going to say, I'm sure those kids appreciate it. Am I going to vilify him for the rest of his career, the rest of his life? No, I'm not. Just like we forgave Chris Brown. We got to just, what I'm willing to do is take it as a chapter in the Deshaun Watson story and see what happens next.
I don't know that, you know, you saying he has been checked. I don't know that I agree with that. First off, we don't know if he is.
You don't think he's embarrassed? You don't think his life has been forever changed?
Absolutely. Did you see Deshaun Watson yesterday after practice signing autographs?
That's at Browns camp. He also has to go to the store. He also has to go out in public. He also has to read social media. His life has been forever changed.
All appear embarrassed while he was sitting there signing autographs for all these people and their little kids.
Tell me, how does one look when they're embarrassed while signing autographs? Does an autograph look like this when you're embarrassed, or does it look like
that's the whole point.
This?
You don't go and sign autographs.
Hold on, so he's supposed to stop attending to the fans that have paid money to go and taking time out to come see him. So he's supposed to stop all of that because he's under scrutiny? I don't understand. What is the appropriate response? Should he ignore these people?
If I were advising him, I would absolutely say that, because that ruling came down yesterday morning. It was the only thing that ESPN was talking about. They were like, "Oh, Bill Russell died. Forget that. We've got Deshaun Watson, a ruling on the Deshaun Watson case," and instead of maybe humbling himself and taking a beat, you're out there signing autographs when you know that the league, or that an arbitrator just found you guilty of violating the league's policy, that you know that you've settled 23 civil lawsuits of women accusing you of sexual assault and violence. Like, yes, take a beat, take a moment. Don't go and sign autographs.
If you were advising him, don't you think that, the optics are bad on him right now, so don't you need some positive optics? And isn't that a positive?
No, that wasn't a positive optic.
So making children happy is not a good-looking picture on television?
Absolutely not. Did you see the pictures of him?
Yes.
Because when I saw it, I thought, number one, who are these kids' parents? Like, of all the people for you to get autographs from, that's who you're choosing to get an autograph from right now. But two, take a moment and get out that you pull a Casey Anthony. You were found. You got away with this.
Whoa! Stop! No! Time out. You're comparing Casey Anthony, a woman who killed her daughter, to Deshaun Watson, who procured happy endings from women who may or may not have.
First off, she was found not guilty, so she didn't kill her.
But we know she killed her. Well, we don't know what happened with Deshaun Watson, but we're assuming that he did these things, right? So in this comparison, we're assuming both people did the things that they're accused of, correct? I just want to establish that. All right. So we're assuming that Casey Anthony did it and Deshaun Watson did it. So you're comparing a child killer to a man who procured hand job. Well, not even hand jobs, but happy endings or sexual contact from women who may or may not have known it was going to happen.
Accused. No, you just said we're assuming that they both did. So he's accused of sexual harassment and assault. 22 people. 24 women. 24 women. 24. And those are just the ones that came forward. There could be more. So yes, I am comparing the two.
All right. But that assault covers a huge gamut of things, from brushing his penis against their arms to convincing them to give him oral, correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it covers wide.
It could cover all kinds of things.
And all of that is just as equal to someone killing their toddler.
Eric, is 24 people.
So the amount of dick brushing
24 women
is what?
Oh God, I can't with you.
The quantity of dick brushings equals a shot.
I'm not even gonna laugh at that because it's not funny. We don't know exactly what happened.
How many
exactly
times?
What he's accused of.
How many times?
It could be more than dick brushing. It could be more than oral. It could be a host of. It could be a ton of things. We don't know. What we do know is that likely 24 women. This man is not even likely. This man is a sexual predator. And y'all are like, oh, but he can throw a football. So let's get ready for some football. Like, no.
I'm saying we're expected to respect the law, right? We're expected to respect the judgments of judges and settlements, and that's what I'm doing. What I'm saying is I don't have all the facts, nor do you. You just said you don't have all the facts. You just said you don't know what's going on. So what I'm saying, given that, if that's the starting point, then we have to go with what these experts are saying and respect the expert opinion.
Yes,
ruling.
100%.
That's what I'm saying.
But we do know that something happened. We do know that something happened that these women did not agree to. And we can't just brush that aside because he's an amazing football player and better than Baker Mayfield. Like, we have to do better than that.
All right.
I guess we're going to see in a day or two whether or not Goodell either goes with the 6 games or, tries to get the year suspension.
Yeah, knowing that something happened, that's like, I don't know that that's good enough for me.
I will tell you, do you know what, I don't want to say it was funny, but two interesting people responded to the Deshaun Watson suspension. The first one was Robert Kraft, of all people. He says the independent arbitrator coming back with only a 6-game suspension for Deshaun Watson is frankly an embarrassment for the entire league.
What did he get when he got caught getting a happy ending?
I don't remember, but this man, like, of all the people to have any kind of response, he literally got off, literally, with someone probably old enough to be your great-granddaughter. I don't want to hear anything that you have to say. The second one was from O.J. Simpson. He says, you hired her, she made her decision, respect it.
Wow. And
I always love whenever O.J. makes a response because people are always like, that's such a killer response, or you took a real good stab at that. Like, it's always funny whenever he says anything because people will always remind him of what he did.
It doesn't matter like how on point OJ's take is on something. It's always going to be about him murdering Nicole.
And that's the thing. It's always a really good take. It always actually makes sense. But you can't.
Well, you said it, not me. I was scared to say it. I was like, you know what? I've gone too far with the Deshaun Watson thing. I'm not going to go there with OJ. So I'm gonna let you say it.
Can I just say this really quickly? Is why do we agree or why do we disagree along gender lines? Like, it seems like women are like.
I know. It's because we're looking at the point of view. So you have some level. I don't know what, but some level of personal experience with men being creeps, right? People. 100%. Your girlfriends, you personally, and me as a man, I've experienced women who said yes and felt bad about it later. So, you know, we're speaking from our own points of view. Like, you know, I've experienced, you know, now I know a lot of men who are creeps. I feel like men exist on the scale of creepiness from inappropriate dad joke to the worst people that should be behind bars. And all men, because of testosterone, exist on that scale. But what I'm saying is, I understand that women are just people too. And you're going to have women who make good decisions and women who make bad decisions. And women who, you know, were naive about a situation, but also women who were opportunists and look for a chance to capitalize. So that's why we always are on the gender lines when we have these debates, because I'm drawing from my personal experience and you're drawing from yours. So I think we should leave it there, because Valerie, we have gone way over time on this. Damn. So let's do our last. First of all, make sure you stick around. We still got a good interview coming with my friend, the documentarian. But yeah, well, before we get to that, let's cover up Will's apologizing ass. Oh, bitch ass Will.
Aww. Why do you call him that? You think it was a bitch move?
I think his whole.
It came from out of nowhere.
Ever since Red Table Talk,
nowhere.
Everything's been a bitch move. I feel like see what he's trying to do is apologize for everything, and the problem is none of these apologies. They're not going to change how Jada feels about him. They're not going to change how Chris Rock feels about him. And it's really not going to change how I feel about it. Like, I feel like a short apology, like the one he issued a long time ago, is just as good as this long video one he did where he answered fake questions from viewers. You know, like... Okay,
that was my thing. I was like, who is asking these questions?
Who is asking perfectly formulated, grammatically correct questions? Are you pulling these off Twitter? Because no one speaks like that on Twitter. So,
I literally was like, were we allowed to submit a question? Because I got some questions, but it's like, where are these questions coming from?
When did you tell people that we were submitting questions? And if you didn't tell people, you're telling me that you just pulled these, you know, perfectly formatted journalism questions off your socials? Like, get the hell out of here. Well, you know what? I just want Will to go back to making funny TV shows and movies. Like, I don't need you to apologize.
His IG post used to be amazing.
Amazing. It's just like, all right, Will, I'm gonna say this.
I'm actually on the move. I'm
shit.
I'm losing power.
Look at this, folks.
I'm gonna try to find an outlet.
So, I'm gonna narrate for those listening and not watching. I'm just gonna narrate where we at. So, Chevalier, I'm gonna do it in my David Attenborough voice. Chevalier picks up a laptop as she scours the savannah for a place to draw power. This, as thousands roar above her, urging her forward. But will she find power in time? Will she find enough to sustain her as she's on her podcast journey? But no.
Can't with you.
Well, can we both just agree
have to leave the pool.
that Will Smith is pretty much effed for a while? And the only thing that's going to save is people love winners. So all you got to do is find good content to put out, and after a while, people are going to start caring more about that good content than they do about how much they're mad at you over Chris Rock. I mean, isn't that pretty much what it comes down to? That's enough about Will Smith, Beyonce, Deshaun Watson. I want you to take a minute now to enjoy this amazing interview I had. Again, with my friend, we go back 20 plus years, and he is now a great documentarian rather, and podcaster. Check it out.
Hello, I'm Dynast Amir.
Ladies and gentlemen, Africans and otherwise, expats and indigenous, it is time for the Unmitigated Gall's Audacious Interview, one-on-one with someone in the media who is making it happen. With me today, the Kevin Samuels of Pan-African Podcast. He went from a D1 athlete to a corporate sales all-star, and now he's leading a wave of Black Americans who are splitting time between the U.S. and the motherland. My frat brother and friend, Prince Dynast Amir. Dynast, thanks for being on the show.
Hey, EG. Bruh, thank you so much for having me. You know, I had to come on to the podcast. I'm like, hold on, my frat brother's doing a podcast now. You gotta have me on the podcast.
Yeah. I mean, and I feel like a bad friend because I didn't realize how successful your podcast is. This is a man who has 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. So I'm glad we got this time to check in and talk about your podcast and your documentary, which is something I love. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about your documentary. We're going to talk about your podcast. We're going to talk about the Pan-African movement and its growth in America as a whole. But first, just talk to me about your journey from Albert Horton Hollis II to Dynast Amir. So we met 20 years ago at the University of Georgia as wannabe Kappas, and now you're Prince Dynast Amir.
21 years ago. We met in 2001.
That's right.
21 years.
And then pledged in 02.
Pledged in 02. There we go. We get old, EG. I'm 40. So you 41.
I know. Yes.
I'm 42.
41. Don't age me more than I am.
But you know, EG, we still look good though. You still look the same.
Yep. You still stay in good shape too. That lets me know you single.
Even if I wasn't single, I still make sure I take care of myself.
And that's what I like about you. You're a motivated guy. I think that's why you've been successful as an athlete, as a salesman, and now you're selling your podcast and it's working. You've got 100,000 subscribers. So for those that don't know, just give a quick timeline from birth to Prince Dynast Amir.
All right, so I was born Albert Horton Hollis II, April 15th, 1982, Sacramento, California. Went to the University of Georgia on a football scholarship. Also ran track. That's where I met my line brother, Artel, Eric Goldston. Spring 2002. Kappa Alpha Psi, Zeta Iota, Gladiators, everyone. I had a pretty catastrophic knee injury while at UGA. So football didn't work out, but I ran track. So after, once I graduated from UGA with a degree in agricultural business, was kind of trying to figure out life, what I'm going to do next. The NFL was going to happen. So I was kind of, like a lot of us, graduate, what am I going to do? Because we have this misconception that once we graduate, just the job offers and the money was just going to...
They damn sure do not.
Yeah. Was just gonna roll in, but and that transition could be kind of tough. So, started personal training. Then I was like, I'm gonna start modeling. So I also sold insurance as well. I was a sales guy. I started selling insurance. That was in 06. So I graduated from UGA in 05. 06. Kind of went into corporate America. Personal training. Insurance, and then was wanted to be a male model, an actor. So then I relocated to LA, to Los Angeles, and the entertainment industry it didn't, because of the egos and and really the way black people, really as black people, how we just were so cutthroat with dealing with each other in the entertainment industry. I was just like, look, I might as well go back to corporate America because it's not worth the hassle dealing with all these egos and different personalities when I could just make more money doing sales in corporate America. So went back to corporate America. So I moved to LA in 2008 from Atlanta, chasing the Hollywood dream, but ended up back in corporate America in 2010. And started doing good. I've been done pretty well when it comes to sales. So went back to corporate America in 2010. Took a job with a company called Centos, selling uniforms and toilet paper. But I didn't know you can make that much money selling toilet paper. But now when you think about it, everybody wipes the butt. So there it goes. So
right.
Was doing very well in selling toilet paper and mats and stuff like that. So I remember I was just calling everybody. Like, listen, man, I'm getting to the bag. I'm here in LA. I'm getting to the money. And a friend of mine, Fitzgerald Stevens, said, hey, and I had changed my name. So 2009, I legally changed my name from Albert Horton House II to Dynast Amir. So that happened in 2009. I skipped that part. Sorry about that. So, I called my friend Fitzgerald, was talking to him. He's like, Dynast, you're making good money. Go take a cruise. Go take a vacation. But I've always been straight grind and hustle and work 24/7, 365, 366 in a leap year. I'm like, nah, I'm not taking no vacation. He's like, man, take a vacation. So I said, okay. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to Brazil because, single black men with expendable income, Brazil, Rio de Janeiro. I'm going to Brazil. I'm going to be on Copacabana with all the girls, all the big booty Brazilian chicks in Brazil. That's where I'm going. So there was a mutual friend that be at EG, though, at UGA. She's Brazilian. She was like, Bert. She used to call him Bert. She was like, Bert, listen, I'll take you to Brazil. We'll have a great time. I said, okay. So then, like maybe a month later, this was probably around spring of 2011. I was planning on going in December. So a month later, she backed out. It was like, listen, Bert. I was like, well, my name's Dynast now. But my bad. She was like, look, I can't go. So I was like, listen, I'm not going to Brazil myself. So I reached out to another homeboy of mine, Yishak Abraham. And I was like, listen, like it's a vacation time. I need to go somewhere. He's like, go to Tanzania. It's like, Tanzania? This is 2011. It's like, Tanzania. He's like, yeah, go to Tanzania. I said, okay. All right. So I started to research Tanzania. Tanzania's in East Africa, by the way. Off of the ocean, on the coast, in the ocean. And there was an island off the coast called Zanzibar. And at the time, I didn't know Zanzibar was a real place. Because there's a club at the time in LA, in Santa Monica, when I was in LA, called Zanzibar. And I said, okay, this is confirmation, so I'm going to actually go. So I went. This was December 2011, and fell in love. Absolutely fell in love with Africa. So every vacation I had when I was in corporate America, I'm like, listen, I'm going to spend a vacation, like 2-3 weeks in Africa. So I always was trying to find a new place to go to. So back up a little bit. 2011, my first trip to Tanzania. I remember landing in Dar es Salaam, Julius Nyerere Airport. And so they didn't have the little bridge or whatever it's called that connects to the plane where you can get out and walk into the actual terminal. We had to get off the plane on the actual tarmac and walk into the terminal. So we walk in, I get my pass, get my visa, all that stuff. And so I exit the airport. And I remember, if you've been to Africa before, it's really not like this, like it used to be, because a lot of the airports they've renovated and they don't allow certain people to pedal right outside the airport. But the minute you leave the airport, usually there's people selling SIM cards, selling a little bit of everything, taxis, and all this other stuff. So I walk outside the airport, and they're like, they start speaking to me in Swahili, and I look at them like, I don't understand. And then they start speaking English, like, okay, where you from? And I said, I'm from America. He's like, no. Where are you from? I said, I'm from America. They were like, no. What tribe are you from? And at the time, I didn't know. And so they just started guessing random countries. I'm like, listen, I don't know. And so I had to explain to them in Africa, I assumed everybody understood the slave trade, but they don't get taught that. So I had to explain to them, like, listen, I've been disconnected through slavery that I don't know where I'm from. I just know I'm a black American.
Right.
And they just,
excuse me, sir. I'm in the sunken place. I'm sorry.
yeah. Like I didn't understand. I mean, but they still couldn't understand that. So after that interaction, that's where the inspiration for In Search of Who came from. So I said, you know what? When I start going on these trips, instead of just being vacation, I'm gonna make it more meaningful and start covering my roots. So I first started with African ancestry. So I took a DNA test. Results came back. Midday Sierra Leone. I have through other DNA tests. I have Nigerian and Blanta, Guinea-Bissau, and Yoruba in Nigeria. And so I just started to travel about Africa and just put the puzzles together. And then that's where Search for Uhuru came from. It was more of my personal journey as far as uncovering my roots throughout Africa. And Uhuru means freedom in Swahili. And so since Swahili was just the language that spoke in Tanzania, that's why I use Uhuru. That was the first language I came in contact with. African language I came in contact with was Swahili when I went to Tanzania.
Now, and speaking of that, I bought the documentary. I didn't ask for a hookup, everybody. I supported my brother.
It's $10.99. Listen, you got $11 for your brother. You got $11. $10.99.
Right. Skip Chick-fil-A one day. But so I got it. Now, were you documenting as early as your first trip to Tanzania, or was that later? Is the documentary, because it's got footage from pretty much throughout. Does it cover Tanzania on?
Right. So it covers every country I've been to, kind of like in a chronological order. So it does cover my first trip in 2011 to Tanzania.
Now, speaking of that, I want to back up because you changed your name and you said 08 or 09.
09.
And you were living in Cali at that point. What was your dad thinking? Because you were born Albert Horton Hollis II. You're in California. Right. You changed your name. What's that conversation like?
My dad wasn't tripping at all. I'm gonna tell you, my family wasn't tripping. It was like my friends, for some reason, had more of a problem.
The bros.
Yeah, but my family, they were cool with it. They didn't have a problem with it. They was like, okay.
Well, I gotta tell you, I gotta apologize because it really took me a long time to wrap my head around the name change. I didn't know if you were like promoting something or if it was some kind of angle to it. But I mean, just year after year, you're traveling to Africa. You're clearly becoming way more educated on Africa than I am. I just kind of wonder, am I a lost soul? And the friends from that era, are we still lost souls that we're still very comfortable in the Eurocentric? Because I gotta say, I don't really have this big urge to, go to Africa every year. So am I lost?
No, I mean, be who you are. Be who you are. I'm guessing you left corporate America, did you?
No, I work for a different corporation now. I left the super huge one. Now I'm just at a big one.
Okay, I mean, it's not for everybody. I just tell people do what makes you happy. And I know sometimes, and I used to be like this. Like I'll see somebody who I guess isn't into Africa or into knowing their roots, and I would think, you tripping or you lost? But everybody's journey is different. So I don't judge or try to beat people down like a Jehovah's Witness. When it comes to building a bridge between the continent and for the diaspora and the continent. So everybody's calling is different. Do what makes you happy, and just
I like that.
Right, if you see somebody doing positive work, just support.
I like that.
If it inspires you, it inspires you. If it doesn't, it's what it is.
Now, a second ago, you mentioned corporate America. Do you ever miss corporate America? You said you left in 2018. You're making good bread. Do you ever miss it?
I won't go back. I mean, I won't lie and say it's been perfect since I left corporate America. As far as, you're responsible for everything now, as far as insurance and whatnot. But I wouldn't go back.
Last thing before we talk about the documentary more and your podcast more in depth, your views on Americans and Black Americans. How do you feel about being referred to as a hotep? And what's up with your hate of the Democrats?
People don't really call me hotep anymore because of, I guess, my thoughts when it comes to politics and just in general isn't as hotepish. So I'm not like a socialist. I'm not a socialist communist.
Okay.
I don't blame the white man for everything. I'm very big on accountability, especially when it comes to the Black community. So that goes against like being a hotep. You know, everything's the white man's fault. You know, capitalism's evil. So I'm not really a hotep.
Now, talk about the documentary. I'm a huge fan of documentaries. That's probably my favorite genre. You know, I made one that got me in trouble with the bros. But yours, like you said, it's a labor of love because you're doing it yourself. You're working on it for years.
Right.
Talk about the process. So you're collecting your footage. Then at what point do you say, all right, let's put this all together?
I would say I finally decided to put it all together. So I had originally announced I was going to do a documentary back in like 2012. Right? And I actually started like a GoFundMe. But then I kind of put it aside because, you know, I wanted to document. Now, my journey's still not done, but it was still too early in the process. So for me, once I received my Sierra Leonean citizenship, right here, my Sierra Leonean passport.
Bam.
Right. You know, I have my Nigerian one too. So once I was coronated as a prince in Nigeria, Odoru and Osun State in 2019, and then once I received my Sierra Leonean citizenship in 2021, then I was like, okay, this part of the journey, again, this journey's not over yet. Or as, you know, Nipsey Hussle says, rest in peace, the marathon's not over yet. I was like, okay, now it's time to put this together as far as the documentary. So I think it was October of last year. We reached out to somebody and was like, listen, you know, I got this footage. I want to put the documentary together. He's like, okay, so we shot it right here at my house as far as the interview part. Me, you know, talking about all different countries and my experience. And then we just took the footage that I've already had from my journey and just put it all together and just released it last week. So
nice. Congratulations. Yeah. And everybody go and buy that. Two moments from the documentary really stood out to, well, a couple. One, when they slit open the cow's neck and the blood came out. Another part where you were talking about eating bush meat, and I showed Naima the footage of, like, I guess they were like rats or some type of rodent. You were talking about how fire it tasted.
A guti. It's like I don't know if it's a groundhog or what it is, but it's called a guti.
Yeah, that's what it looked like, a groundhog with a longer tail. But the part what I really thought was great, and, you know, I see you bring up Nigeria a lot, is when you're crowned a prince, you get the crown and your passport at the same time. You look at the camera and you're kind of like, yeah. I thought that was a great moment. But I also got to put on my journalist hat and ask the skeptical questions. Do you ever feel like you could have been crowned a prince as a way to promote tourism for that local community?
Well, that's one of my responsibilities as well, to bring awareness to the community. So that's where my tour company started. So once I was given that role of, hey, I just bring awareness to the kingdom, I said, okay, well, I'll just start bringing people. So shortly thereafter, that following August 2019 was the first tour that I did. We went to Nigeria.
So it is. It's like one hand washing the other, and you're happy to do it because it's your roots.
Right, exactly.
Okay. Go ahead.
No, well, I was gonna say it's just they always say, like, once you get paid to do something that you love to do. So like I have a tour company. I go take people to Africa.
Right.
So it's like it's work, but it's not work because I'm getting paid to do what I love to do, and I was asked to go to Africa. So, you know, that was, as far as the tourism part, to bring awareness to the kingdom part, and people, that okay, no problem.
And you said something shocking in your documentary. You said you once found a round trip ticket to Ethiopia for like $350. I told that to my wife immediately.
No, it was to Cote d'Ivoire on Ethiopian Airlines.
Oh,
yeah,
sometimes Ethiopian Airlines. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but sometimes you'll find these deals for $400, $500, It just I'm bougie now. I fly Delta. You know, I like or I try to fly. If I can find a ticket for less than $3,000, that's business class, I'll do that. You know, that's so. Yeah, I don't know. I just something about flying business class and being stretched out, and you know, I enjoy that. But yeah, but as far as for coach, yeah, you can find tickets for $400-$500 easily. I mean, they're out there.
Now we're gonna have some fun. I want to talk about other. Speaking of movies, I want to talk about other black movies. But are any more documentaries or movies coming from you before we shift gears?
Nah, I'm sure they'll definitely be in search for Who Part 2, but that will be a couple years down the road. But also too, I'm going to be focusing a lot on Nollywood, the Nigerian film market. Yeah. So I'll be focused on that. Working on some projects doing that here shortly. So I'll keep you guys posted on that.
I saw a documentary. I think it was a Viceland on Nollywood, and just how they churn out movies like Master P used to, like and how it's over the top. It's low budget, a lot of them, but they're just like, it's a market that feeds itself because the people love it. It's insular, and it's just over the top, and it's just a lot. It's just a volume that you'd be stunned at.
Yeah, well, that's kind of key. I remember back in the late '90s, Master P was No Limit was releasing something every other week. So, and they were all going gold and platinum,
right?
Which is amazing. So, I was going to when I was in Sacramento, I was going to the record store around the corner from my house and buying a new CD every other week. No Limit. So yeah, sometimes it's people say what is it? Content over, what's the term? Content over
quality over quantity.
Right. There you go. Quality over quantity. But sometimes, like with these Nollywood movies, they've been successful with the quantity over quality.
Yeah.
So hey, listen, it's worked for them. So
the Tyler Perry model.
Right.
Speaking of Tyler Perry, that's a good transition. I want to get your thoughts on some other black film and TV. First of all, you had a very successful podcast recently about the Wakanda Forever trailer. Are you looking forward to Wakanda Forever?
I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna go see it. I can't wait for it to come out.
So, and are largely people excited about it?
I think so. Some of the people, I think in Hollywood now, they're moving towards more, especially when it comes to black media, more of a black feminist, strong woman, I guess, agenda. And people were trying to associate that with the new Black Panther. But I said, listen, the original Black Panther, he passed away, unfortunately. Chadwick Boseman, T'Challa, he passed away. Your boy Killmonger, he got killed. Dan Kalula, I think that's his name, that played in Get Out.
He got whooped.
Well, he couldn't come back to film because he's shooting with Jordan Peele, whatever his name is. So he couldn't come back. So the main male roles, they're all gone. And so, I mean, it's kind of the women now.
Does that bother you, the Hollywood feminist agenda got to the Black Panther franchise?
Well, yes and no, but maybe because of the circumstances, because, again, T'Challa got killed. I'm not killed. He passed away in real life. Killmonger got killed. Daniel, I think his last name is Kalula, or, he couldn't come back to film.
So they get a pass then.
Yeah. So I just, like I said, I'm going to go see it.
All right. So speaking of movies, let's do overrated, underrated. I'm going to do some movies and TV series that I'm pretty sure you've seen along with every other black American of our generation. I'm curious to see if the Prince thinks they are overrated or underrated. The Color Purple.
Overrated.
Oh, why? So many quotables in there.
Yeah, but it was just this struggle post-plantation life, man. It was overrated.
12 Years a Slave.
Overrated.
Not that. Yeah, I agree on that one. That's a pretty obvious overrated. Amistad.
I like Amistad. I like Amistad. I mean, I like Amistad. It tells a story. Singbe P, which is he's Sierra Leonean actually. He's a Mende man like me. You know, goes to court in America, gets illegal cargo, gets kidnapped as a slave to America, states his case in court, and has the opportunity to go back. You don't have too many of those stories, so I enjoyed that. Directed by Debbie Allen. That was a good movie. I like that.
Debbie Allen is underrated, and I feel like Jaimin Hunsu is an underrated actor. So
Jaimin Hunsu.
I agree. From your side from the West Coast, like you, Boys in the Hood, overrated, underrated.
Oh, classic. I prefer Menace to Society though.
I knew it.
I like Menace to Society more than Boys in the Hood, but Boys in the Hood, that's a classic. I mean that right there is a classic.
So it's hard to overrate Boys in the Hood.
You can't overrate Boys in the Hood. That's a classic.
The series Roots, the TV series that changed it all.
You know, I didn't watch a lot of Roots. I watched some of it. Yeah, I didn't. In fact, it's funny you brought that up because I visited Kuta Kinte. I met his family when I was in Gambia.
What?
They're still alive.
Wow.
Yeah, I met the family in Gambia.
And I cannot do a overrated, underrated movies without a California classic from a California kid, Soul Plane.
Never seen it, but I heard it was trash.
You know what? I'm going to say Soul Plane because I heard that too. I'm going to say it's underrated because I heard how garbage it was. People were basically like, this is the worst movie ever was.
Really?
And then, my expectations were super low. It was like Pootie Tang low. Mm-hmm. But then when I watched it, I'm like, it is what it is. It's just a ghetto funny film. It's not. So I would actually tell you to watch it because it'll probably be better than you anticipate. So overrated, underrated with Prince Dynast Amir.
Yeah,
Prince,
but I
gotta let you go here.
I still got to check out Roots though. I've never watched the whole thing. I never watched the whole series. Never watched it. I just know I've met his family when I was in Gambia.
Yeah, I can't take Back to Africa tips from a guy who's never watched Roots. So you check out Roots. Everybody at home, check out the search for Uhuru Prince Dynast Amir. Sir, thank you. I'm going to talk to you soon. All right. Great interview, Valerie. You're back with us, joining us from another location in Las Vegas. Let's do quickly recommendations and invitations. What you got for me?
Okay, so as you know, I'm in Las Vegas. The family reunion just happened to coincide with some concert dates for Usher, who has a residency here. I went to the show Friday night, and it was amazing. It was such a good performance. Now I will say this: I got to see Usher a couple years ago when he was performing in Atlanta, and I do think that the Atlanta performance was better, only because when you get to see an artist in the city that they're from, it's just a different vibe. You know, he brought out Lil Jon and Ludacris when he sang like he just brought out all these different people that he had collaborated with. So I will say that the Atlanta show was better. But this performance, it was so good. He's got this like circular part of the stage where he's roller skating, him and all his dancers roller skate, and it was just an amazing performance. He had DJ Mars at the beginning of the performance, or beginning of the show, even before the show started. It did not start on time. It was like an hour late, but it was okay because he was playing all these different songs, and everyone was up and dancing and having a great time. And so the residency, it's not every day, it's not even every weekend, there's only select performances, but Eric, you have until October to somehow make it to Vegas to see
I didn't know it wasn't every day.
No.
I thought it was like Prince, where he did like 2 shows a day.
Oh no, he even at the performance he said, I'll see y'all in 3 weeks, so the next one is sometime in August. So yeah, if you happen to, be planning a trip to Vegas, try to have it coincide with the dates that Usher does his performance. It's at the Park hotel, the Dolby Live T-Mobile Arena. It's kind of a small venue, maybe just a couple thousand seats, but it's an incredible performance. I will say it's a little adult. There's a couple of songs where, there's some simulation of some things going on. There's a lot of adult.
As it should be. You're in Vegas. Come on.
There's some strippers that I'm sure he flew in from Atlanta. Those girls are amazing. But yeah, I recommend if you can sing the Usher show live in Las Vegas.
I will recommend some music today. Like I said, I was pleasantly surprised by Beyonce's Renaissance. I mean, I knew you would like it, but I didn't expect me to like it. But another bit of music I've been diving into. Big Boy and Sleepy Brown's The Big Sleepover album. It's from last year, and I think I stumbled onto a interview on YouTube. You know, you fall down the YouTube rabbit hole. So I decided to listen to it, and you know, the whole thing is not great, but there are a couple slaps. Can't Sleep is like the big slap, and what's the other one? Return of the Dope Boy with Killer Mike is good, and All You See. There's about 4 good slaps on there. So salute to an Atlanta pioneer, Big Boy and Sleepy Brown for The Big Sleepover.
Okay. All right.
What you got for invitations?
I would like to invite retired federal judge Sue L. Robinson over the Deshaun Watson case to have a conversation with her about why she didn't maybe go a little bit harder.
And I would like to invite some of those NABJ legends that you're going to be rubbing elbows with.
Yes.
I know, it's the same one as last week. Maybe you'll see Uncle Ro out there. Maybe who else will you probably see? I know he's going to be there. But maybe some of the other, maybe Sonny Hostin might be there. Maybe,
maybe
some black journalists we'd love to have on the show.
And I want to show you something, because if I run into them, just give me 2 seconds. I'm ready.
Eyes ready, boss. Oh, is that a card? Bam!
It is.
Remember on Living Cover? Bam! You ain't black if you don't know that reference. But look at it, folks. That's QR codes. Oh my God, they would love this at work. QR code central.
Love this at work. Yeah, so if I run into anyone, I'm ready.
Bam.
It's got our IDs at the top.
Look at that.
Information.
Look at that. Like and subscribe, right?
I have a couple. I have some for you and some other things for you when I get back.
Well, listen, folks. You saw the woman. She's got the cards. If she hits you with one, bam, like and subscribe. But even if you don't have one, bam, like and subscribe. Chevalery, we got to shut it down. I know you got partying to get to, and I've got duties of my own.
Really quickly.
Okay.
R.I.P. Bill Russell, Nichelle Nichols. We lost 2 greats this week.
For sure.
To mention both of them.
For sure.
I have a whole list of their accolades as usual, but
of course you do. Let's just say it like this: Lieutenant Uhuru was fine before her time, so.
And I think
that's all I got to say.
I think Bill Russell was always like LeBron or Jordan, like, hold my beer. I don't even have fingers for all my rings.
I thought you was about to say Bill Russell was fine too. Bye, folks.
He was back in the day.
We gotta go. See y'all next Wednesday.